Pennsylvania, circa 1984. It is Friday night, USA skating rink, and the kids are hyped because it's an all-night skating party. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, parents used to actually allow their kids to go skating from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., and it was all the rage with the young people. When you go by during that time, you can see this long line of kids, and they are hyped to get in. You can hear the music pulsating and pounding from inside the building. You notice that there's 4 or 5 kids in groups that all have the same outfit on, and when you look down at their feet, they're all rocking suede Pumas. Some of them are aqua, some maroon, some black. Some had laces in them that were real fat. Some had no laces at all. They got towels hanging out of their back pocket. What's up with the towels? We'll get to that part. And so as you're going through the line, you can see your friends going through the turnstile, a couple of people forward. They're looking back like, come on, man. And you're starting to get panicky. You're like, man, I'm going as fast as I can, man. This line is going slow. You are anxious to get inside. You get closer to the turnstile. Now you can see inside. You see that girl you've been hawking at school. She's on the skate floor. She sees you. She's waving. She's like, come on. Once again, I'm going as fast as I can. I'm trying to get through the turnstile. You finally get through the turnstile. You get your skates on. Let me tell you something. These are not normal skates. The brown skates with the orange wheels, those are for squares. That's not the way these kids get down. They got black leather skates on. Some of them got mag wheels on those skates. They got customized toe stoppers on them. They got the tongue from the skate hanging over. Some of them got fur on the tongue hanging over on the skates. Some of them got pom-poms hanging from their skates, because these are the skaters. These are the kids that roll with swag. And so those kids that were dressed alike that you noticed in line get on the skate floor, and all of a sudden the referee, and yes, it's an actual referee, stripes on the shirt. His or her job was to make sure that the non-skaters, the beginners, the novices, skated on the inside of the skate floor so that those kids with matching outfits can do their thing on the outside. And they had routines that they practiced for weeks, and people couldn't wait to see them break these routines down. And you waited for the perfect song, and you got out there and you in unison, every step, every move, and you clap it up between the steps and the move, and then at some point you reach in your back pocket and there's that towel. Now we find out that towel is for wiping your brow because you are sweating bullets as you break down this swagged out routine at the skating party. But at some point in the evening, the DJ plays the perfect song with the perfect beat, and it might be Africa Bambaataa, it might be Play at Your Own Risk, it might be Planet Rock, it might be Clear by Cybertron. Whatever it was, you knew that song was indicative of battle. What kind of battle? Are we throwing hands? Are we fighting? No, ladies and gentlemen. These kids throw their skates off. They get those suede Pumas back on. They fight through the traffic to get to the middle of the skate floor, which has now been transformed into a dance floor. The crowd starts to gather. Some people follow suit. Some people decide to watch from the skate floor as they skate around. And when the crowd gathers, one kid jumps in the middle of this crowd and he starts breaking that thing down. He is waving, he is popping, his body is contorting with all kinds of swagged out moves, and folks are going crazy. Then he drops down and hits the floor, spinning so hard on his back, on his neck, on his head. He's windmilling. He's spinning so fast that you can hear the wind coming off this person's body, and people are going crazy. And then once he gets up, he points at somebody, and the person that's getting pointed out is looking at him like, you pointing at me? Why? Because they knew they were being called out. You didn't want to get called out. You didn't want to get called out if you weren't ready. If you had game like that, you wanted to get called out, because now you put me in a situation where I can show and prove that I'm that dude. So you calling me out, now it's my turn to show you what I got. Now I'm getting out there. Now I'm popping, I'm locking, I'm spinning, I'm breaking. You can feel the wind coming off of my outfit, and when I'm done, I get up and I strike my pose, and the crowd is going crazy. Here's the catch. You don't get to make the decision about whether or not you won that battle. He doesn't get to make the decision about whether or not he won that battle. You knew because the crowd let you know you're that dude, or you knew when the crowd let you know, listen, that dude got you. And then people went back to doing what they did. They cheered, they got their skates back on. This was life for 14 and 15-year-olds in Erie, Pennsylvania, 1984. All because of one particular segment of the culture of hip hop that we call breaking and popping. It was a way of life. one that was popularized in New York and Brooklyn and the Bronx. And we would watch these breaking heroes like the New York City Breakers or the Rocksteady Crew. And every chance we got, we would study these brothers. And we would watch them breaking and popping and everything they did when they were standing up, popping and locking. We practiced those moves in the mirror for hours at a time. Any moves we saw on the breaking floor, we spent hours on a rudimentary piece of cardboard with our big old box trying to imitate that move until we had it just so. And then we would get with our partners and try to organize and unify our moves so that the crew was ready for battle. And at some point, mainstream America came along and discovered that this was it. This was the culture that everybody was gravitating to. Even folk who were teachers and professors at places like Georgetown, even folks who were legislators and politicians, big time business folks, people whose kids went to private school where you didn't see black and brown kids. Those environments started to be infiltrated by the insatiable culture that they called hip hop. And breakdancing and popping was one aspect of that the kids just gravitated towards. And mainstream America reframed it as breakdancing, and it started to come into mainstream society. And we went from all of that to it being showcased in 2024 in Paris, France, as an Olympic event. Man, that's a long journey from the gritty streets of the South Bronx to it traveling to places like Erie, Pennsylvania and other places, to eventually landing on the steps of the Olympic Games. How incredible was that? And now that I have collected myself, let me put my talk show host hat back on and tell you that that little story that I just gave you, that wasn't from a third person perspective. I'm in that. I was a part of one of those 4 and 5 man crews with the matching outfits. I had, and actually still have in my basement, the leather skates with the mag wheels, because I was an apex roller. I wasn't a roller skater. I was an apex roller. I was the kid inside the circle. And I got news for you, and I'm not bragging because it's true. When I got inside that circle and did what I needed to do, folk didn't want to go after me so many times. I was good. And so was my crew. And there were other cats in the neighborhood and across the city that we just respected. And because we weren't cowards to the culture, when you respect somebody, you want to battle them. You get tired of hearing some of the same names. And when you run into that person who has that name, okay, let me get inside this circle, do what I got to do. And that's the person you calling out, because now we get to settle it in front of all of these witnesses. There was no social media. You had bragging rights. That word of mouth would spread across the city. And when you pulled up on your bike to another part of town and you stepped off of it, you heard all about it from other folks. Folks you didn't know. Yeah, man, I heard you got so-and-so at the skating rink, man. They said y'all was going at it, but you got him. Yeah, good looking out, good looking out. That was a rite of passage for us as kids. And so I'm in it. And so I'm watching the Olympics through that lens. And I got to tell you, I assembled a couple of friends of mine from my crew, cats that I had danced with back in the day that I was friends with. I got my man Mike Brown and James Keys. They're both out of California right now. They'll be joining us in a second so we can take a walk down memory lane and talk about the days that I just described. But I think there was some triumphant moments for the Olympics when it comes to breaking. I think that the breakers that they got from all around the world, and there were qualifying heats and there were different rubrics for them to qualify. I don't want to go too deep into it, but you had different representatives from all over the place. And the France champion, the male France champion, Danny Dan, I had news for you, man. This dude was nice with it, real nice. The Mexican kid that they had representing for the U.S., Victor was nice. I mean, for the most part, they represented the culture well. Then, of course, there was your girl Ray Gunn from Australia. Oh, Lord. You know, in the South, when you are trying your best and it just isn't working out, old folk have an expression that says, bless his heart, bless her heart. And I found myself saying that as I watched Ray Gunn. I was like, oh, bless her heart. She wants to be a part of the culture. I see it. Her heart's in the right place. And the moves that she was putting down, she didn't score any points. Let me tell you how they scored this. They said judges scored the breakers based on 5 categories: musicality, vocabulary, originality, technique, and execution. Each category makes up 20% of the score. Battles are best of 3 rounds, also known as throwdowns. It's funny, people put like official jargon and terms to this. Each breaker has 60 seconds to complete a round in a throwdown. Athletes can be penalized for misbehavior. And let me define the misbehavior that they're alluding to. Oftentimes when you strike that pose before you call somebody out, you may do something crude and grab certain body parts or make certain gestures in order to try to embarrass the person that you're calling out. That was a huge part of it, for you to diss somebody, especially when it was a rivalry and you were in a battle. But things like that could be penalized in the Olympics. But that's the way they scored it. Ray Gunn, again, bless her heart, Ray Gunn scored not a point. Not a point. But we'll talk more about her when I get my partners on the mic here. What I appreciated the most, the DJs, which, if you know the hip hop culture, is a critical part of that culture, they represented, man. I mean, they played the music that had old schoolers like myself shaking my head and banging my head like, yeah, you got me wanting to do Ballad 54. They stayed true to where this culture comes from. And I enjoyed that the most, I want to say, man. And again, other than Ray Gunn, I'm watching, and listen, don't let me be too hard on Ray Gunn. That was her own form of expression. There's something to be said about expressing yourself through dance, and that's the freedom that it gives you to express it the way you feel it and the way you want to interpret it. But when it comes to a formalized competition or even a battle, like I said earlier, you don't get to decide whether or not what you put down was liver than what they put down. And so God bless the effort, but it just wasn't what the judges were looking for, and it wasn't what the culture was looking for in that moment. But I think that everybody represented well. Right now it's gotten kind of convoluted because it's gotten so acrobatic that you can almost see it as that. And so I'm looking for traces of that swag that I'm talking about that makes me feel like it's in you, that you feeling it, right? Because you can be real acrobatic, you can do flips, you can do twists and turns, and it just not be a part of that culture. And so I think that's what they were trying to disseminate. I saw one person who fit that description who lost, this was a feat with the women, who lost her battle to someone whose movement and whose energy felt more like the culture. If they were going strictly on acrobatics, she would have won, but that's not what this is. And to give B-boys a little extra credit here, I've watched reels. I watched one reel in particular where they had a gymnast, a college gymnast, try some of these moves that they would show him for breaking. And it was 1 or 2 moves that this trained gymnast was like, oh, that's hard. He struggled to get. So, that dedication of getting on that cardboard for hours at a time, you can see these kids are still true to that, right? Because even trained tumblers struggle with some of the movement. But I'm going to bring my partners in here. And I think overall it was a success. Obviously, the commercialization of it, you're going to lose some of its cultural roots in that process. And that lands on people's spirit differently. And so I want to introduce 2 of my guys here. I got with them via Zoom. Obviously, they're in California. And I hope you enjoy our stroll down memory lane. Take a listen. And so I'm here with some of my childhood homies, Mike Brown and James Keys. Fellas, welcome to the show.
Right on, right.
Hello.
Hey, so when I saw that, I even hate to call it breakdancing. It makes me feel like I'm a part of the establishment when I call it that. But now, just for the, lack of a better term, when I see breaking on the Olympics, I thought this is a good thing. I was a little on the fence at first. Red Bull was doing an excellent job of really representing the culture. I've been following that. And it's gotten so acrobatic nowadays that I certainly thought that it was worthy of the Olympics to the level that these young bucks have taken it. But I was excited, man, and I think they represented well in Paris, and it really made me take it back to back in the day with us, man. What did you fellas think when you saw that this culture was infiltrating the mainstream via the Olympics?
I was pretty excited about it, and I knew that it had been evolving over years because I just saw videos of. It's funny because me and James, we shoot videos back and forth over the years. We say, "Hey, look at this! Look at this! Look at this!" Just like watching the evolution of it over time from back when we were doing it in your house, Marcus, on 7th Street. You remember that?
7th Street.
Oh yeah.
7th Street. Go to Marcus' house on 7th Street. But back then, if you could do the windmill,
It's a big deal.
that was a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
That was and I remember I was one of the first person to do a windmill. And when I did that, it was like, who is that? I did that in school. I felt so popular. They were like, who is that? Who is that? The windmill, that's like a regular move now. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
they've taken that just. I didn't think it could be taken further. Just when you think it couldn't be taken further, it just keeps elevating.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how it was for you guys back then, but back then when I was into dancing, we were dancing. I mean, I loved that. I loved doing that. I loved doing it with you guys, and I thought about it all day. I did it all day long. And I thought I was going to grow up and be a professional popper and breaker. I literally believed that in my mind. But I don't know what it was for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, what's the trip is there are actually professionals at just that nowadays. I mean, the fact that you can monetize something like that is a trip. James, take us back to the inception of the culture, man. You remember the days when we first started picking up on this thing? Walk us through that, because I personally feel blessed that we were the generation that gave the world hip hop, man. And we kind of watched the whole evolution, man. Talk to us about that.
You know what, man? Those are some really, really cool times for sure, man. We were living legends. As I look back in time, I'm like, wow, it was a pretty interesting time for us to be alive and growing up where we grew up at. I was never a break dancer, as you guys know. I was more popping, if anything else, but I could never get the windmill down. I could do a head spin. I could do a suicide drop, but that's about it. That was it. But it was fun though. It was fun because it was like you think about the turbo and the ozone and all the the breaking and and you think, man, that was to me, that was kind of our legacy. We were that for that for where we grew up at in Erie. It was like, okay, people knew, I know James, he's gonna pop. I know, and it was so many different competitions, battling different people and whatnot. So that was so much fun, and it's one of those things you thought, now I'm gonna do this when I'm 110. Not really.
Yeah, good luck with that now.
Not really.
I think about some of the benchmarks from back then, man. The iconic scene of Turbo outside of the store with the broom.
Yeah.
Tour de France, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Who wasn't captivated by that? I mean, the battle at the Roxy on Beach Street, them boys.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, I think that broom from that scene, Marcus, I heard that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's what
I believe it.
I've read that somewhere.
I know when I was watching some of the specials on Breakin and everything else, it was the cultural expression, and I distinctly remember that. Just that one of the dancers they spoke to was talking about how free he felt when he was doing it. Right? I think it was Victor.
Yeah.
I just feel free when I'm doing it. I'm like, man, I remember that feeling.
Yes.
Especially when you really figure out what you're doing.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to thank you guys because I really actually learned how to pop from you guys. You were the two main ones. You were doing it before me. And I remember when we did go over your house on 7th Street, Mark, that's when I was just starting to learn how to do it and starting to like develop my skill. But then I felt like exactly what you're saying, Marcus, when I got to that level where I was like, wow, there's like a freedom. There's like a freedom of expression when you start to get that. You're like, oh, wow, I can do this. I can do that. Marcus, I wanted to share a story. I shared with James knows this story.
Yeah.
We went to go see I remember back then we were seeing the movie Breakin, right?
Yeah.
We're in the movie theater watching Breakin, right? Before the movie started. This is like 1983 or something.
Yeah.
And this kid comes up to me me and James, we have on our Value City windbreakers, right?
Value City. Value City. Yep. Yep.
We had our
Walk around
Value,
making all
and you
that
couldn't tell
noise.
us nothing. You know how James was. He was stone cold, right? James like that. He's stone cold. This guy comes up and he wants to pop against me, Marcus. So he calls me out, and I start popping him, right? So he pops, and then I pop, right? And then he pops again. I'm getting ready to go. And then James did this. He did this. He was like, no. He held me back.
Yeah.
And then he jumped in and he started tearing this dude up, man. It was so much fun, man.
I was gonna say we got it down to a science. We did this when everyone wanted to fight you after that.
That's right.
That's right.
You
That's
spoke
right.
like, oh, I bet you can't beat me in a fight.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I thought we were dancing. Like, what happened?
Man, we used to go across town to battle folks, man. The skating ring battles were off the chain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
yes.
there's always this push and pull though internally when the culture overall became marketable. It started pushing it to the mainstream.
Yeah.
So it's kind of bittersweet. On the one hand, you want to see folks get paid for something they're passionate about. On the other hand, the commercialization of it takes away from that feeling of, this is the culture and it's about the culture and it's about the way it makes you feel. And I kind of got a twinge of that when I was watching the Olympics and the guy was the commentator. And when they would cut to him, he didn't sound like he was from the culture.
No, he didn't at all.
Right. He was real stern as going into the windmill, and there's his style points. It's really clean windmill. Oh man, you're killing me. You're killing me.
I can only hope it evolves from there, because as I was sitting there, I thought the same thing you thought, Marcus. I was like, this is kind of like very sterile. This is not like, like this is not good, man. like I hope it continues to evolve, and that I hope it puts in more of an awareness. Like, wow, this is something that the people that are into it, that you live, you breathe, and you drink this. So it's like to see somebody else representing that for you. It's like that's kind of hard to take. It's like, no, dude, that's not it. That's not it right there.
Yeah.
Like we do this. Not to say that we do it. We used to do it, but I'm just saying the ones that still are actively that do this like now, be able to see that. I'm sure there was a lot of people kind of cringing, like to be able to sit there and like, that's not it. That's not it.
Right. What I loved, I tell you who the saving grace, the DJs kept it 1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, the DJs had a nice blend of old school hits.
Yeah.
With some new school stuff. I was like, okay, the DJs understand. They understood the assignment.
Yeah, for sure. They should have put Pistol Pete on there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
To a great degree, the judges did, man, because I remember even the lady that won the gold, the Asian lady that won the gold for the women's division. She was the other lady was more athletic per se, but it's not gymnastics. Right?
Yeah.
She was true to the culture with it. I mean, everything from her swag to the up rock to the phrases. I was like, okay.
And going back to your question you asked, Marcus, about like what are your thoughts about it coming kind of more mainstream?
Yeah.
I was excited to hear about it. I was telling everybody, the breaking is coming to the Olympics. And people were looking at me like, what? That's not a sport. I'm like, I'm excited about it. I think this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. Let's go. I said, for sure I'm going to watch this, for sure. And then I saw your girl out there doing her moves. I was like, no.
This has to be Ray Gun he's talking about.
Yeah, I was like, not the Ray Gun.
Yeah. I thought that was a joke when I saw that. I was like, that's a joke.
I thought
joking around.
This is somebody's commercial that they're gonna bust out later on, like ha ha ha. And it was like, no, she was doing the bunny hop. I was like, I never seen a bunny hop. I've seen a lot of moves, but I never seen a bunny hop. That is not breaking.
Right.
I think I went to I think she did the sprinklers too. I think she did the sprinklers.
Right.
Bro, some of them poses
No.
too, those faces and poses. I was just like,
Oh,
you
dude,
know,
she thought she was going hard. She
She
thought she was
yeah,
did.
going hard. Hey,
I was like,
I think Special K could have beat her.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
But you know what
Matter
was
of fact,
funny
she
though?
had some of those moves.
Yeah. What was funny is she was hitting the stereotypical
Uh-huh.
that
Uh-huh.
stereotypical pose. I'm like,
Yeah,
lady, you are killing me. How did you
yeah,
get to the Olympics?
dude. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys heard, but I heard that, and this could be right or wrong. I don't know. I don't. This is, don't. We have to go back and fact check this. I just heard this on one of the little TikTok videos, or one of the videos. They said her husband was a judge,
I heard that too.
and that they ruled out all the good uh, dancers to make sure that she got to go to the Olympics. And I was like,
Wow.
if that's the case, I think, yeah, that's really sad if that's the case, man, because that's like going up against a Marcus back in the day, and they say, oh, we're gonna let so and so who can't pop and can't break dance whatsoever, we're gonna let them beat Marcus to go to the Olympics. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, that's not that. Come on, this guy,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
lives this stuff. He's at his house practicing for hours, and then you shortchange him because you want your wife to go.
Right. Right.
Ah, come on, that's not good. I mean, granted, like Mike and I were talking about earlier, it's like she probably put in a lot of hard work, but at the end of the day, my thought is, I don't care how much hard work you put in. If you're not good, you're not good.
It is
I
going
can,
to points.
yeah. I was like, hey, it's all about, are you good or not? It's not about,
Yeah.
oh, I put in all these hours. Yeah, but if you're still not good at it,
Yeah.
thank you for putting in those hours, but
Yeah.
you don't. Your skill set is not at the same level as these guys or these
Yeah.
girls.
Oh man.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. Hats
Yeah.
off to the girl. She got to the Olympics. She's bigger. She's bigger than anybody else in breakdancing. Everybody knows her name.
She is. She was now I will say something to her benefit. I don't know if any of you guys see this, but she did an interview, and I saw the interview that she did, and I was listening to that, and clearly she's impacted, man. Like, so I kind of got to, at first I saw that, but then when I heard her, I felt like I saw the human side of her, and I could see like that would be rough, man. It's one thing to get embarrassed at Gridley because Mike Brown beat you in just in front of Gridley Middle School, but if you get embarrassed in front of the whole world,
the globe,
bro,
yeah,
that's so I kind of was like, wow, that's like I could get the impact that was having on her in that interview. And so, and I believe genuinely she did put in good effort. I didn't know about the judge thing. This is one of the things that I was thinking about, and this is like to her benefit, thinking of her. The judges aside, just thinking of Australia or the level of breaking that happens there, or the level of breaking that happens in Antarctica or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know what I actually thought of? I thought of basketball. And I thought of the 80s and the Dream Team, the first Dream Team, right? With Barkley and Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
And they just went through people, okay? Like they were beating people 130 to 20. They were like destroying countries, like the Chinese that were like, 5-1. That was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so part of that was probably because we have more exposure to basketball. We play basketball here. And so, of course, we're going to go around and destroy everybody. But now over time, now you see what's happened over time is that, man, a lot of these countries, they just kept getting better and better. So they actually beat the USA. And then I know the USA's won about 10 times in a row, but man, they're not just dusting people off.
Right. The world
not like they were.
No, not now. They're putting everybody in there. They're putting LeBron and everybody in there and just kind of just squeaking by.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something to be said about that in terms of breaking. Like, some of these countries might be very new to breaking. It's a very new thing. So, and I'm not saying she was the highest level. I don't know if she was the highest level, then
I'm doubting it. I'm doubting it. I think it's a safe bet she is not the highest level.
I could have took her out. I don't even break.
So look, here's the scenario, man. This is one of the things that I miss, man. The adrenaline rush of that crowd making a circle around you.
Yeah,
You had to wave people
Oh
back.
yeah.
Give me some space.
Oh,
Give me some
dude.
space.
Yeah.
Man, that adrenaline when you get in that circle, man. So here's my question to y'all. You get in that circle, the crowd is gathering. What song do you want to hear to really throw this thing down?
I think it would definitely have to be a Planet Rock song.
Okay.
Or not Planet Rock is the song. I think there's like Africa Bambaataa. I think James like Cheap Thrills. He had little moves off that song Cheap Thrills that he had timed down perfectly. Where he was like, he was like,
he did. He
knew right when that little was coming up.
So James, what's the song, man? What's the song? What did you want to hear?
You know what? Cheap Thrills would be part of that for sure. but I think Play at Your Own Risk is in there. I think it's just a blend of songs to me, because I think that was my secret weapon. I can tell you what my secret weapon was now. I always danced to my tapes. Yeah. And there were tapes I had mixed already. So I had to splice them. You know, back in the day, you had to cut it and put it together. So I knew where the breaks were at. So I knew when the song would switch, but it would still be on beat, but it would switch and go into a different rhythm. Yeah. So I knew where that was at. So that was my secret. That was my secret to winning. It was like, you're going to dance to my tape. I already got the moves. I know it. I already practiced it over and over again. Yeah. You're hearing them for the first time in the sequence that they're in. So that was the secret move for me. It was like, oh, I know what's coming up. So yeah.
I'll tell you two of my favorites, man. If I was on the floor, Egyptian Lover did it for me every time, man.
Oh yeah, you know? That's a good one.
But if I was popping, man, it was something about Clear by Cybertron. I heard that ready. 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'll get you pumped up, boy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so, you guys still have that experience, right? You hear that song, you're just like,
oh man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, bro.
bro.
When Missy Elliott remade it, man, Music Makes You Lose Control, and she used
for sure.
Yeah, man. I lose it every time I hit. I'm like, oh man, that's the one, man. Those are I remember all of those days back then, man. The Ultimate Chill, when they were doing that thing with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs over to Booker T.
Yeah. Now here's my question. I have a question for both of you guys. Who was the coldest? Like as you look up to different people, like especially in that era for us, who do you look at? It was like, man, this person was unbeatable, or this person was the nicest, the smoothest. Whether they're doing a wave or the tick or the break dancing, who comes to mind? Who's the first person that comes to mind? You're like, oh yeah, this person right here. They were
in Erie. You're talking about in Erie, right?
In Erie. Yep.
Waving Brian Carruthers, man. From Ultimate Chill.
Yep.
Brian Carruthers was nice, bro.
What was his brother's name? Dana?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they was cold. They was cold.
Yeah. Brian was so smooth with his, man. And out on the floor, I can't remember what his real name was. We called him Chicago back then, man. I think he was a little bit older than us. On the floor, man, he was tough with him and Brown. What's my man? Tyrone Brown.
Tyrone Brown. Oh my God, Tyrone Brown, dude.
Tyrone was the first one I saw do the flare back in the day.
Yeah, he could break, dude. Like he could break like unbelievably. He was advanced.
Yeah.
Because he could do like the turtle. I used to pop and break with him. That dude was unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow.
He could do continuous head spins. He was doing everything. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Who was for you, Mike?
It was this dude named James Keys, man.
Hey, woo! I made the cut, yes.
Bro, it was you for me, man. Like
Thanks,
dude, when I looked at you, I just would be like, I could just remember, and I don't know what it's like for you when you looked at James Marcus, but I would just like sit and watch him, and I would just hit the ticking, the locking, and the ticking. Like I didn't see anybody that could move and lock, and I was trying to do that, and I was like, I can't. Like he just did that ticking and locking, and it looked like almost inhuman. It just looked like inhuman. I was like, that is crazy. And then his face would be shaking. He was ticking so hard. He like do that lock turn and like, whoa, man. It seemed like a movie to me, just watching him in real time.
Yeah.
And so it was you for me, bro. It was
you. Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that for sure. I think for me, it was definitely the Corellas for sure. When I think about picking, because he could break it down in so little intricate pieces.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, dude, how do you move your hands? Because mine were bigger movements. They were like bigger movements.
yeah,
But he
yeah,
would he would get the smallest little bit ticking. I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
yeah,
And I think for me, I think for as far as breakdancing, I would say definitely you, Marcus, for sure,
yeah,
man. I would say the person who comes to mind when I think about, because we did that so much at your house
yeah.
that it was just like, oh, where do we go train at? Oh, we're always at Marcus's house. It's like that was our kind of our studio, our dance studio. It
This
was
is
like,
true.
oh, okay, we're gonna go to Marcus' house. That's our dance studio. He's gonna break out the cardboard. We're
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah.
but anyway, what were you gonna say, Marcus?
Nah, you stole my thunder a little bit, man, because I wanted to get philosophical, man. So if you're talking to a young buck right now, and that young buck says, James, Mike, what did I
Mm.
miss from not being a part of those days, right?
Hmm.
Compared to what my life is like now. What do you tell a young buck?
I say
Hmm.
living, just living, period. Because I
Yeah,
feel like that was just so much of experience to
yeah,
be able to. And I know I'm kind of dating myself and sound like an old man, but I feel like cats don't get out as a house enough to just, they're locked up in the house playing games or doing whatever. It's just like, get out of the house, for crying out
Yeah.
loud. Go do something. Like, go figure out who you want to be. Go do, instead of letting the world tell you who to be. I feel like, so that's what I would say. I would say, dude, you're not really living until you get out there and like go figure out who you want to be,
yeah.
what, like who you want to imitate, what sparks you, what moves you, instead of just hiding behind some type of device. That's all.
I like that. I like that. Mike, what's up? What you think?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. That we didn't have any of that. So
Yeah,
like all
that
of
part.
our entertainment was with each other, right?
Yeah,
We would go pop and break, then we go play basketball, and then whatever we were doing, it was through human interaction.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
I think that
yeah,
there's something lost. I mean, I
yes,
think something happens to your brain, man, if
yes.
you don't have human interaction at a young age with other human beings. You are losing something huge. It's a big
yeah,
deal. Like I try to be mindful
Yeah,
of, and I
yeah,
know you got young kids too, Mark. So you probably try to be mindful of your kids with the screen time and stuff. I'm like, hey, you got to cut that off. We're gonna go play basketball or do something because
yeah.
they'll just sit there all
yeah,
day
All
long
day.
on that computer, and
It was.
I I think it's important to do that to learn stuff on the computer.
Mhm.
But man,
yeah, yeah,
that is what they're missing. Our whole life was our interactions with each other,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
entire life.
yeah,
When I see what's quote unquote exciting to these kids, it feels
yes.
like they're missing something, man. I mean, you take breaking, which is the subject of the day, right? And just the
Hmm.
entire lifestyle that went around that, from the kicks that you wore, those suede Pumas we were rocking for a
Yeah,
while,
yeah,
right?
Yep.
And like you said, the windbreaker, the outfit. Okay, the new movie came out. We're gonna go check out, and the whole neighborhood was at the movie.
yes,
It
Yep.
wasn't
yes,
streaming on TV. You
Nope.
had to
yeah,
go be
Yeah.
there, and you go
Yes.
get in line,
yeah,
and there's so and so. What's good, man? What's good?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know
You
what
yeah,
I'm
saw
saying?
people. You were interacting.
Yeah,
You were interacting.
yeah.
yeah.
Then there was the skating parties, and it was everything was an occasion.
The
We had
skating
social
party.
lives,
Wow.
right?
Yes, yes,
We
Yep.
had
Yep.
yeah,
social lives as a kid.
yeah.
So when I think about the days and just everything surrounding it, carrying the box. I remember when I was battling with TT Husband and Lionel Williams. I was battling with TT Husband and Lionel Williams on the east side. Actually, Lionel was riding TT, and I kept hearing about T. Oh man, TT Husband, he bad, man, he bad. I'm over my partner's crib over on East 23rd Street. And Harry come right on the back of Lionel's bike, and I had my box, and he hopped off like, "What's up?" You know, because we had been hearing about each other. We wasn't battling, but we wasn't in it not 2 minutes. Half that neighborhood was surrounding us, man,
Mm,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
everybody knew
mm,
me and everybody knew him.
yeah,
You know, so
yeah,
mm.
and that's how
yeah,
we got cool to this very day. But I'd roll my bike over there. But we had a whole life and
yeah.
lifestyle around this culture, man.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah. And I know Mark. Mark, I know you hit him with that slide. Remember that slide Marcus used to have?
Oh yeah, he had a
Back in the
smooth
day?
little slide.
That slide, I was just
slide,
like, dude, I was like, that slide was just like liquid. It was like,
he had that Michael Jackson down.
He did. It was like Mike Jackson. I mean, it was just like, I was trying to get it like that. I was like, I can't quite get it just like that.
Yeah. I will say this, though. Y'all can comment on this in closing. I am continually amazed by the economic force that hip hop overall has become, man. This has become a multi-billion-dollar culture, man.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Because back in the day, it was like, oh, this is just going to be a little phase, a little rapping, a little thing. Yep. Man, they're rapping in any and everything now. And it's like,
oh yeah.
I mean, that whole thing is, like you said, I would dare to say $1 trillion industry, because it's just from the clothing, from the sneakers to the, you got the drinks now, and you got all these different things that have evolved from this whole hip hop culture, and especially with the rap, and it just it's gone way beyond what I thought it would be. You know, to where it becomes to a certain point mainstream, to where it's like it's not even street anymore. It's just like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I look forward to, though. I'm gonna throw this last bit in there, and I'm gonna let you guys speak. I look forward to popping in the Olympics. That's what I want to see.
I hear
popping
that, dude.
in the Olympics, because I want to see international battles. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, baby. Let's go.
Listen, I appreciate y'all making time, man, on the West Coast and chiming in, man, with us and everything else, man. It's great talking to you, brothers. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What I was hoping would come through was that three friends in the third quarter of their lives could come together and reminisce about an era that meant so much to them, and the pure joy and excitement of that era would come through in their commentary, in their cadence, in their exchanges. And I hope that's what we gave you today. When I say this was one of the best parts of my life personally, I mean every second of that. And it's a part of my life that I would do over again in a heartbeat if given the opportunity. And I would not change a thing, because I think that we came out the other side of that better. And it gave us something that we held on to this very second. And it kind of helped shape the people that we became, because it was one of the first ways that we learned to express who we were and who we are personally, as James pointed out. So I appreciate the fact that you gave us your time today and you listened. And that's going to be it for our show today. You can tune in next time for more discussion and analysis with local and national guests. Remember, the next 2.0 streams on Fridays on all major podcast platforms, and on the fourth Sunday of the month at 4 p.m. on WQLM PBS NPR, which is 91.3 FM. You can leave us a message and a comment at 814-240-8816 on the next hotline. I'm Marcus Atkinson. Join us again so you can hear about what's next for our communities and our democracies. But a little curveball before I go, I want to read you in closing a brief statement about my personal love and appreciation for the culture that we call hip hop, and for the aspect of that culture that we discussed today, breaking. From the heart of our inner city streets, your rhythm and beat have become our anthem. Breaking and pop locking with their fierce moves infused with the finesse and swag of the streets offered us an escape and a powerful outlet to express our resilience and creativity. In a world often overshadowed by struggle, you gave us a stage to showcase our dreams and our unity. Your influence still resonates beyond the dance floor, weaving hope and pride into nearby communities. Before corporate competitions, endorsements, and Olympic Games, we were in an undeniable relationship rife with reciprocity, understanding, and unconditional love. You helped us express our thoughts, emotions, and feelings that we weren't yet mature enough to verbalize. We owe you so much of the joy that we experience as young people, and we thank you for being the ultimate symbol of our strength and our passion. Peace.